Hi everyone, my name's Sharon. I'm the designer behind River Road Knits, and in this tutorial video we're going to talk about knitting colorwork flat. Colorwork is not often worked flat because it's a little bit clumsy, a little bit awkward to do. So much so that for larger pieces such as a cardigan that you would normally knit flat, when you're knitting a colorwork cardigan, you actually knit it in the round and you cut it later in a process called steeking. So there's a lot of ways to avoid doing colorwork flat. However, sometimes based on the project, it's just easier to do it by knitting back and forth. So in this video, we're going to talk about a couple tricks to make that as manageable as possible. So let's actually demonstrate how you'll knit colorwork flat. I've got my chart here. I have this piece of washi tape to mark which row I'm on, and I've got my swatch that I've started. So as you can see, I've been working back and forth. I don't have any long floats. I've just been knitting and purling across the rows. So let me just orient you with this swatch where we are. So in the center, I have a 13 stitch chart that corresponds to this right here, and on either edge I have three colors in the main, or 3 stitches in the main color. So just so you know that that's where we are. So this first row, I'm ready to knit a row, and I'm ready to knit this row. So I'm going to get set up. In this swatch, I am knitting the first stitch on every row, first and last stitch, both on the right side and on the wrong side. So I knit my 3 edge stitches, and what I'm going to do on this third edge stitch, I'm going to catch my float, and a little bit later I'll show you why I'm doing that. So I just caught that float. Now if I look at my chart, I've got 3 of the main color stitches. 1, 2, 3. Now I have 2 of the contrast color stitches. So 1, 2, 3 main color stitches. 1, 2, 3, 2 contrast color, and then I'm going to end with 3 main color stitches. So again, I'm at my 3 edge stitches here, and same as I did at the beginning of the row, on this closest edge stitch, I'm going to catch my float. Okay, now I'm done with my right side row. I'm ready to work my wrong side. So let me just move this here. Okay, perfect. Now I'm ready to work my wrong side. So when I turn it, I'm going to make sure that I don't twist these, or at least when I go to knit the stitch, that they're not twisted together like that when I go to knit. So let's keep this off to the side. And now I'm going to knit my 3 edge stitches, or sorry, work my 3 edge stitches. The first one is going to be a knit stitch, and then 2 purl stitches. Okay, now we're going to look at the chart for this row. And one thing to remember when you're working flat is that your right side rows, you're going to read right to left. Wrong side rows, you read from left to right. So for this chart, it's actually a mirror image, so it reads the same whether you're going left to right or right to left. But for the purposes of demonstration, I'm going to read it like from left to right. So I've got 2 main color stitches. 1, 2. I'm ready to work 2 contrast color stitches. So this is my really wonky way that I do purling continental. I'm not a continental knitter. I just do it when I'm working color work. So enjoy how awkward and weird that looks when I do it. So I've done my 2 contrast color stitches. Now I've got 5 main color stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, I go 1, 2 for those two, and then I've got 1, 2 in the chart, and then I'm going to have my 3 edge stitches. 1, 2, and then my edge, 1, 2, and then the last one I'm going to knit. Okay, so notice on this side I didn't worry about catching any floats. We're going to catch all the floats on the right side, and now I'll get a chance to show you why we do that. Okay, I'm ready to work the next right side row. You can see I've moved my tape marker. And let me show you real quick. I'm going to ignore the pattern for a second to show you why it's important that we catch those floats. So when we're working flat with color work, the problem is when we go to turn our rows, or when we go to switch sides, this stitch right here, the last contrast color stitch, is not it's not anchored to anything. And let me show you what I mean. So let's pretend that I need to do a contrast color stitch right there. So I'm going to knit a little farther. Okay, so let's see. These were the last 2 contrast color stitches that I did on the last row, and they look really nice right now. But if I take my contrast color and I knit that stitch, suddenly you can see how much smaller this one got. And depending on how tight I make this, it could almost disappear because I'm pulling that stitch back over that way. So I'm basically pulling the right leg of that stitch over there. So when we catch our float, we're basically giving that contrast color yarn an anchor point at the beginning of the row before we've actually worked any contrast color stitches. So let me go back to start over here. Again, I've got my 2 edge stitches that I just worked, and I'm going to catch my float. I'll show you a slowed down version of catching the float. As I said, I'm not typically a continental knitter. I usually am holding my yarn in my right hand. So when I am doing color work, this is the way I prefer to do it, is to put one color in each hand. So let me show you exactly how I catch my floats. I will insert my needle into the stitch. I will bring it under that contrast color. I'll wrap the needle with the yarn that I'm trying to make that stitch in, and then when I go to pull it through, I'm not pulling that contrast color through. It's just getting caught and twisted right there. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. And see, it doesn't show through to the front. So that's the way I catch my floats. So now looking at this chart, I worked my 3 edge stitches, I worked 1 main color stitch, now I've got 2 contrast color stitches, 1, 2, I've got 3 main color, 1 contrast, 3 main color, 2 contrast, and again, I'm going to catch the float right here on this edge stitch. So again, I'm going to insert this underneath the contrast yarn, wrap it with the main color yarn, and now knit to the end of the row. So by catching it on each end, you are, every time you're turning it from one side to the other, you're catching it on the edge. So you could catch your floats on the wrong side. At the end of a wrong side row, you could catch the floats. I just find it easier to catch my floats on the right side. Okay, so I'll just show you one more example of a wrong side row. So in this row, I worked my 3 edge stitches. So now I'm ready to work 2 main color stitches. So in this case, I'm not going to hold one in each hand just to show you how you could do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this main color yarn up to the top so that it doesn't get twisted. So now I'll purl 1, 2, And now I'm going to drop this to the bottom again so that I don't get it twisted. And now I'll do 3 main color stitches, drop it to the top, 3 contrast color stitches, this one drop to the bottom, 3 main color stitches. Now if you did for some reason need to catch floats on a wrong side, what you would do is you would insert the needle into the next stitch, cross your contrast color over the needle kind of like we did on the right side, wrap it with the correct color yarn, and then when I pull it through, I'm not pulling that contrast yarn through, so it doesn't show to the front side. But you can see it's caught right there on that stitch. When I look on the right side, I don't see the contrast color yarn. So if you for some reason needed to catch a stitch, that's the way you would do it. So again, I'm just going to finish out this row with my 2 contrast color stitches, my 2 main color edge stitches, and then knit the last one. So that's how you can knit Colorwork flat. I hope that these tips helped you, that it made it a little bit less of a painful process. I think with a lot of practice, it ends up being a pretty easy process, pretty streamlined. So I hope that these tips help you out. Thanks.